We are now recording and we're ready to go. So off we go. Well, hello. We're very excited to have you here. Life's Co-Pilot is bringing another panel of experts to kind of help you through the whole senior process and better ways of living in the senior world. Today, I'm going to introduce everybody here. We'll kind of give you a little quick tour around here. Jack, right now you're big on my screen, so I'm going to go ahead and say hi to you and let you introduce yourself and who you are and who your company is and give me the whole scope of services that you provide.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Jack Barlow. I am the administrator of AMRAMP, which is a franchise based out of Boston, Massachusetts. We use all American-made steel products for our ramps, but we also do wheelchair ramps, we do lifts, we do stair lifts, vertical platform lifts, grab bars, we can do door widenings. What we focus on is getting you into the house. That's the main feature. Is so many times people at a nursing home or a hospital will call me literally in tears saying that they've released me, but they won't let me go home till I can get into my house. Mm-hmm. And so there's lots of times that I'll run down and take a look at it while they're still in the hospital or still in the nursing home. And one of our niches is we can get it done very fast. I don't ever promise somebody the same day, but we have done that. We've had people in the nursing home call me, and by that evening, they're home. So that's something that we take a lot of pride in. Our material is made out of steel, so it's very sturdy, a lot sturdier than anything else on the market. It has a mesh flooring system for our ramp system so that rain goes through it, snow will go through it. Now, we live in Indiana, so I'm not dumb enough to say that you'll never get snow to build up, but for the most part, it'll go through it. The main thing is the freezing, the rain and the freezing ice, the slipperiness. With that mesh, it goes right through it. So ours is the most slip resistant material on the market. Very, very, very good. We actually have people call us all the time asking us for strips of tape for their ramps because they're sliding on them. And I have to let them know we don't have any of that. We don't need that, so we don't even carry the tape that people use. So we're very proud of what we do. We're owned by a company in Indiana called Pathfinder Services. That's an organization in northern Indiana that is designed for the mentally handicapped that would allow them to stay in group homes. So we have group homes throughout all of northern Indiana, and people can live in them instead of the old institutions that we used to always hear about, or having to have mom and dad try to take care of them when they can't. So we have group homes where they consider the people living in them their brothers and sisters, and they just live a normal life. We even have manufacturing. I'm in the manufacturing plant where a lot of the handicapped people come and manufacture things, and so they have a job, and sometimes that they even go out into the real world. But saying all that, the reason I'm connected with them is that Medicare and Medicaid never pay enough money to have the group home. So we're always doing fundraisers. One of the fundraisers we came up with was to buy a franchise called AMRAMP so that we can supply all of our profits and go into the group homes. So now people are really happy. They get their own ramp that they get to go home. So they're excited about that. But in the same token, they actually are donating basically to a nonprofit organization and helping them to grow. So sorry if that took too long.
No, that's perfectly fine. So Matt, would you like to explain who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thank you very much. I'm Matt Matich, and I'm the owner of True Blue Total House Care of Carmel, Indiana. And first, I guess I should thank Life's Co-Pilot for hosting this discussion. So thank you for that, Jim. True Blue offers a wide range of services to seniors who want to age in place and stay in their homes. We're equipped to handle everything you might need, both inside and outside of your home. So in addition to general home maintenance and cleaning services, we also provide free senior home safety assessments and installation of accessibility features such as handrails, easy turn faucets. We also do some grab bars and things of that nature. And we just really want to help you enjoy worry-free living for many years to come. And we do, and what our program really is based on is offering a helping hand. We provide handyman cleaning services as well as landscaping services. The idea is really one call does it all, and we can provide anything associated with your home to make it easier to stay there and enjoy it.
Excellent. So you do the outside maintenance as well as the inside maintenance.
We will, yes.
Anne, I'm just going to go for Anne because, you know, Anne Marie means you're in trouble, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Thanks, James. Hi, I am Anne Marie Bell. My friends call me Anne. If you're mad at me, call me Anne Marie. I own Linda's daughter, and we are a senior service. We work with seniors to help them downsize and maybe move, but also to age in place gracefully. We don't get into the ramps and things like that, right? That's a specialty. What we do is the softer side of things. I'll give you a great example. The most recent client I worked with just needed to redo a bedroom on the first floor. And so we just rearranged the furniture for her, brought the bed down, moved the sofas out, removed all the trip hazards and the clutter throughout the house so that she could move around with her walker in there and not get hung up on throw rugs. We brought in an electrician because they had electrical extension cords running everywhere because some outlets didn't work throughout the years, right? And so then they just start using extension cords, and that was just trip hazards all over the place. We make sure the house is supportive of their hobbies, right? So they have that joy of life. We moved a sewing room from a second floor to a first floor because one of our clients had given up sewing because she couldn't make it up to her sewing room anymore and was sleeping in a lazy boy. We made a first floor bedroom, made a little den into a sewing nook so she could live like a normal person, sleep in a bed, and continue her hobby. So that's the type of things we do to help people age in place.
Excellent. Well, I was going to say we have one more that was supposed to be here, but Brooke is with Westport Home, and she is their specialist when they're dealing with like a handicap accessible home they're wanting to build and all that kind of stuff. But her plane was delayed today, so she is somewhere between here and Wyoming in the air. So anyway, so she will not join us. Maybe another time we'll get her in for her input. Kind of, you know, what we're trying to do here is this. What, you know, all you guys do things to help people age in place. I guess that's a popular Google word right now that comes up pretty well, but to age in place, to be able to stay home, to be able to live in the home that they want to live in, maybe even maybe they're moving in with mom and dad with a kid, but they need to make sure that house is safe for them. So what are some of the things that you guys are professionals, you're out there all the time, what are the things you see, what are some of the first things to look for that are unsafe, that are in a house that you know we might not think about, but you guys would notice?
I would say trip hazards. They're everywhere because when you go about your daily life in your house, you don't even see it because you're used to it, but it's the little trash can next to the chair, or it's the cord running across the room because you wanted the lamp next to your favorite chair. I see trip hazards all sorts of places, and it just takes a little bit of effort to make them go away, or rethinking how you use space. That's probably my number one I see.
Okay. Yeah, to piggyback on that, I saw a stat: every 11 seconds, a senior is in the emergency room because of a fall. One person every 11 seconds. So, I mean, the trip hazards are tremendous. And the other thing that I would say is that people, for the most part, are healthy, and then you're not healthy. You know, so the seniors
always are usually the beginning of that, don't you think?
Yeah.
Right? You take a tumble, and then it snowballs.
Yeah, exactly. and they're fine until they fall.
Mm-hmm.
But how bad is that fall going to be? I mean, you know, so I guess my feeling is that, you know, kids see their mom and dad walking up the steps of their house and like, well, they can still do it. Yeah, but that's the time that you want to get a ramp. You don't want to get a ramp when they've fallen and they've broken their leg,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a good chance that's going to happen. So be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
None of us are going to get younger. None of us are Merlin. None of us are going to grow younger. We're going to grow older. So
I try. I put a lot of effort in. I try.
I'll tell you what, you look like you're 25, so you're getting older.
Quite that plus. But yeah, and I think like you see, and here Matt, I'll let you talk, but I see people don't see their space for what it is because they've been in there for 20, 30, 40 years, and it's the fresh eyes coming in saying, oh, wait a minute, like, tell me about this electrical cord you have or the 14 throw rugs. They don't even see it because it's just their normal house, right? You could come to my house and see things I don't see.
And I would say it goes, for sure they don't see it, but I would almost say it goes even deeper than that. So one of the things that I run into, and all you can do is laugh about it, but it really is true, is, and I was in a house the other day, the person was 80 plus years old, they're using a walker, they have an eye patch, and they're explaining to me how they would have got on the ladder to change the light, but you know, so there's a large degree of denial. And so I would just, anybody watching this video, and you know, everybody needs an advocate, whether it's a son or a daughter or a family member, or someone like Anne Marie or Jack, but nobody likes to plan very well for how to prevent falls. But if you look, and there's lots of statistics you can throw around about what happens when someone who's growing up there in years falls. It's one of the worst things that can happen to them. I'm actually a pharmacist as well, who happens to own a home improvement business. But so one of the things I see is just this overall denial from the people that we're working with. Nobody wants to admit that they are getting up in years and they're not as able to do things as they might have been able to do in the past. So I would go very global first before I got into specifics, and just say people should have a plan about how they're going to stay in their home. And I know we don't have Westport homes here, but you know, one of the plans could be I could move into a new home. But if you're not going to move into a new home, and the statistics show that most people don't want to, they want to age in place where they know their neighbors and they're comfortable with everything, but yet they're in denial about the things that are going wrong with their physical condition, as well as with the physical condition of their homes, that really do put them in jeopardy. And I run into situations where, you know, people are, not everybody's well off, but even situations where people are financially well off, they don't want to spend the money doing the home improvements that probably would be beneficial to keep them out of the hospital. So what I see most is just this status of denial, and overall that I'm getting old and not wanting to admit it. And if they do admit it, they for whatever reason don't necessarily want to put the resources into it. So I would encourage you to use someone like us, and we come out and we're Age Safe America, which is just one of many different groups out there that certify people to do home safety inspections. The particular manual we use has 212 different bullet point checklists to kind of look at and assess, and I'm sure Jack probably does all those in his head, and Anne-Marie, you do as well. But where I'm trying to go is have a plan, have an advocate that helps you have that plan. Everybody seems to have a financial plan. Not everybody, but most people do. And everybody seems to have a medical plan, but nobody has a plan for their home, and probably ought to have one. And there's tons of good information out there. Contact your local area on aging, for example, and you'll find a lot of good, useful information that will help you look at some of these items that are maybe the specifics of things you can do. And I'm sure we'd all be happy to get into the detail of that as well. But thanks for letting me drone on there a little bit. But that would be my biggest issue, is just to say, have a plan. If you don't have a plan, bad things are going to happen, and you're going to end up having to make these emergency calls to Jack about how to, you know, how can I be discharged from rehab when I can't get into my house. Better off not to fall in the first place.
Yeah, I heard something recently, and I don't know where I was, or I don't know who to give credit to, but it was discussing about seniors and falling. And I thought it was an interesting, what they basically were explaining is that all of us, I don't care how old we are, we nearly fall 20 times a day. Mm-hmm. We'll stub our toe, we'll do things, whatever. But we can readjust quickly. We have quick reflexes to make those quick adjustments, those little minor, adjustments in our positioning or whatever, so we don't fall. And we don't even think about it. It's not even something that's really even registers to our brain that we just kept from falling. But as we age, our reflexes slow, and just that extra little half second or a quarter second when our toe stubs, we don't have the core ability to catch that and keep from falling down. I thought it was an interesting thing. So it's, it's not, you're not old, you lost a quarter second, and but all of a sudden that quarter second is what keeps you from, instead of being upright on the ground and messing yourself up. I don't, like I said, I don't know where I heard it, but it made a lot of sense to me, and it, kind of helped a little bit on that. And you and I, from my experiences doing with carrying transitions is on this one, we're in that same space, a different space, but in a different space. Mm-hmm. How much problem is solved by decluttering?
So a big one. And so one of my clients right at the start of COVID was their daughter called me because their mom was always getting up on a step stool to get this and that out of the top cupboard, right? She got shorter, she got older, so she had a little step stool in her kitchen. The daughter saw that and was like, that's a no. Decluttering the kitchen wasn't just about the aesthetics of it, is we got rid of 30 of her 40 coffee mugs on that first rung, or that first shelf. So we could bring down everything. So there was nothing on second shelves throughout the whole kitchen, and the step stool went away, right? So it's not there because she didn't need it. So by decluttering, it just wasn't things on flat surfaces like you might think. It was purging through the kitchen cupboards so that everything was just within reach. So there's no step stools involved. Decluttering is a big thing in the kitchen area. Taking away all the floor rugs, or making sure that they're down really, really tight. Is all that stuff is the trip hazard. And then I think it's enjoyable because it's a mind refresh too, right? Of it's just a little fresher and cleaner and lighter, which is a mental help. But the decluttering of a kitchen is a big deal, just so you're not getting another step stool, right? Because after 50 years in one house, things get kind of crammed in, and they're up on a step stool looking for something high.
Yeah, step stool's a good point. My wife was working, and she was doing like just a pop-up store type thing she was working on, and part of what she had to do was stand on a step stool to do her job. And she was in her 50s when this happened, but nonetheless, she stepped off of it funny, fell and landed on her hip, and was teaching dance and ballet the day before, and then hit her hip hard enough, knocked all the cartilage out. She needed a hip replacement after that. So, it's, you don't have to be, 70,
No. And the reality is we probably all have a little bit too much junk in the kitchen cupboard, right? Like, Jim, you might see this in carrying transitions. I just left a lady's house who had over 50 coffee mugs. She doesn't even drink coffee. They breed in the night. I don't know. And they just take up valuable real estate in the kitchen. It's safer for everybody not to get on a step stool, right? So get rid of the crap you don't need, so all your stuff is within reach is a good plan.
You guys have something you want to add in on that one? I don't want to cut you guys out. So.
No, I was just going to say a couple things that come to mind when you talk about 50 years old. So whether you're 20, 50, 60, 80, the needs of your home change. And I have some information I just was going to share, and now it's probably as good a point as any. And it talks about recommended light levels by age group and lumens. I know this is kind of a technical area, but I think it's beneficial for people to think about it. So for a 20-year-old, And the way our light, the physiology of the body, it just changes over time. So you think I'm 53, so I think I'm pretty young, but I almost fell. It was raining on the way, and I came running in here, and I slipped, and I mean, just that close. And I can imagine in about 7 or 8 years that I won't catch myself. I will fall, and I'll have wet water all over my shirt. But for example, on some of the things to consider when you're thinking about how to modify and what might need to be modified, and if you're an advocate for helping someone, think about the light levels and think about the physiology of the eye and how that things change. So for a 20-year-old, the recommended light level in a hallway or walkway, and these are just numbers, they don't really mean much, but the concept will become clear. 21 lumens. A 40-year-old, 43 lumens. A 60-year-old, 86 lumens. And an 80-year-old, 129 lumens. So basically what that's saying is we need twice as much light when you're 65 as you do when you're 20. And I can speak to what happened with my dad when as he was getting older. He ended up getting up in the middle of the night, got confused about which door to open, and he was at my sister's house because he moved in with my sisters, and that was where he decided he wanted to stay so that they could take care of him. They were both nurses. Long story short, he opened up the wrong door. He happened to open up the basement door instead of the bathroom door, and they were right there next to each other. The basement door lighting is, now looking back at it, we all know it was terrible. The steps were terrible as well. There was a lot that went wrong with this circumstance. But Dad ended up, he fell down the stairs and broke his ribs and didn't tell anybody about it for about a week. But I just think that's just one case in point that we could probably talk to specific areas that you can be thinking about as you think about your home. Be thinking about, is there enough light so that we can see comfortably, and is it the right kind of light? Because as you age, glare becomes a much more difficult issue as well. So,
and you talk about that, Matt, that's a good point of, like a lot of times people think aging in place is ramps and the grab bars, which are certainly part of it. But now there's so much more research on lighting, for example, and what works best with aging eyes. And one thing that it's been really fun for me, because I'm a little tech nerdy sometimes, all the technology that can help. Like there's pill reminders, or even Alexa or Echo. All those tools can help seniors stay at home safely. A favorite of mine is the GrandPad, which is like kind of like the internet locked down for seniors, where they can't get into trouble on it, but they can see their grandkids' Instagram pictures, because they always want to see the pictures, but nobody prints pictures anymore. Right. So it gives them that connectivity, but it also can be emergency phone calls to people, or they press a button and they can FaceTime with somebody. They don't have to have an iPhone or even the internet. It's all very self-contained. So that's been fun to help seniors get that technology for safety and pleasure and connectivity, especially in this time of COVID. But like the pill reminders one, I just set somebody up with a system where it's their daughter's voice saying, "Mom, did you take your pill?" And it goes off at a certain time, which I think is great, right? So there's so many tools to stay connected or research into the right lighting. So we don't have to guess anymore. We can use all the tools that we have available to make aging in place seamless and fun and comfortable and safe.
And I would also like to ask, just like Jack and Anne Marie, as you're going out to the homes, how many homes have you walked into that you thought, and I walk into them all the time. Again, it's not always who you think it is going to be, and it goes everywhere from the socioeconomic spectrum. But they can't get out the back door, for example, because of the do you guys see that a lot as well?
All the time.
And I just worry about, like, Mrs. Jones, what's going to happen if there's a fire in here? You have to be able to get out both the front and the back door.
Are you talking about it's being blocked by stuff, or is it just not
sometimes working? It's sticking, or their hands, they're arthritic,
right.
So they can't slide open the slider anymore. And there's simple things that people can do for that.
Like they have the lever on the front door, but it's a doorknob on the back door. Yeah.
Yeah, or worse, it's a little slide little knob that you have no hope of getting. and those are things that they don't matter until they matter. And I was looking for my lever doorknob. I actually happen to have one laying around in here. It was a return, but everybody thinks lever doorknobs is comes pretty much to the top of the mind, and that's an easy fix that most people can do to help people get in and out of their house when they need to.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
To go back a little bit about lighting, another feature that people can do is color. You can use color to differentiate in the house. Even, for instance, even like a coffee mug for an elderly person that's having a hard time seeing, probably shouldn't use a dark colored mug. A light colored mug, they can tell where the coffee is in the mug.
Mm-hmm.
They're not guessing. They can see better. Plates on the dinner table need to be a different color than the table so that they can see. The contrast is, besides lighting, and lighting, of course, is very, very, very important. But contrast is also extremely good.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that along that line, I hadn't thought about it, but I should have had a dementia specialist on here as well. Okay, but but I've listened to enough of them. Maybe I can kind of pretend to be one. You know, but we were talking about the plates. You know, they're talking about a lot of times in people that have different levels of dementia.
Jim, what kind of specialist did you say? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Dementia.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, because a lot of times dementia patients won't eat because if they have like a white plate and you have chicken and mashed potatoes on it, they really can't see it. And so that becomes a problem. So that's why they use like they'll use a red plate or what have you, and they find a great deal more benefit from that. The other thing I was thinking about is, I wasn't thinking of dementia because I was thinking about staying at home, but I'm going, you could very well have mom or dad at your home. So that's all part of it, staying at home.
And we're getting a lot of that now. We're getting phone calls from people that they don't want to put their mom and dad in assisted living. So we're doing a lot of grab bars and tile showers and railings and things.
But if you like, for instance, and this, there's something with the eyes. I don't know enough about it other than I hear my dementia friends, people that do that talk, and I hear these stories. But like, if you have and I know some of the different communities that treat or care for the dementia, they will sometimes put a black mat by the door, and it's depth perception, so people won't go to the door. They're afraid to go to the door because it looks like they're going to fall. So I would just say be cognizant of the fact that a dark rug on the floor could cause distress on whether you're going to be able to walk through there or not, or so things you wouldn't necessarily think of. Like I said, I wish I would have thought on here to have someone that's in that space. So
think about contacting an occupational therapist as well. That they can help with a lot of those. They'll do an assessment. They do a senior safety assessment, but it's more built towards the physiology and the of the patient, the healthcare side of things.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, what kind of simple alterations have you guys seen or done, or that you can see really making a massive difference for people? It's just a simple alteration.
For me, removing area rugs, because those can get, like the small, like a throw rug, can get tripped up under feet. That's a big one that I typically do is just take those out, and then the trip hazards as far as electrical cords. There seems to be, mainly because there's lighting, and on every table has a lamp on it, right? So then there's a subsequent cord. Those are the two quick and easy fixes that I do in every project, and that's just to start. Mm-hmm.
Mine would be a lot of times I'll have people that they don't want me to bother to come out because they only have a couple inches lip into the house, and they think that they just got to just get up over that somehow, with the wheelchair. And it's just, we have things available for them, and they're surprised that there's something for that. And I'll come out and take care of that. It's just a small 2-inch threshold that we'll put down, and they'll roll right up real easy, or even walking, they just won't stub their toe on it. And that's just real quick, real easy, and they're almost embarrassed to call me about that. But that's something that we can take care of just real quick, and they're happy as can be as soon as it's down.
And I would say for us, and I agree with the transitions there, you know, things like the driveway, is it smooth, and even any of those areas where there may be a transition, or certainly falling hazards, and the walkways to and from the home, those all seem to be an issue that many of the homes we go up to, they're older homes, so they kind of settle at different rates. Their landscaping is overgrown, and so they can't even really use their sidewalks. But probably the biggest thing that we are seeing is the bathrooms. Most of the homes aren't set up for, so we do a lot of grab bars in showers and near the toilets. Also, the clean cut, where you basically put an insert in the bathtub. It's a cost-effective way to not have to step up over and into the tub to take a shower. So.
Mac, what did you say? A clean cut? What is that? Can you talk more about that?
Well, it's a clean cut bath, and you can go to their website. I'll go ahead and.
Oh, that's the brand name?
Yeah,
okay.
They sell many different kinds, and it's essentially the cutout that goes into the tub.
Okay.
So it takes an existing tub. If you pull out a tub and you want to do a really nice fancy shower, that becomes a pretty expensive proposition. A lot of people can't afford that. And so for those that can't afford it, there is a solution that takes a standard bathtub and converts it into a step-in tub with a low threshold.
Yeah.
They make dividers that you can still use it as a bathtub in case your grandkids come over or something. It's just a divider you slide in and out. The water doesn't go everywhere.
I know what you're talking about. I guess I didn't realize it was the brand name, so thank you very much.
Well, there's many different kinds. That was just who happened to be who we use. They're based out of Cincinnati.
Okay, great.
So you don't need to spend $9,000 to put in a big, walk-in bathtub. There's simpler solutions to some of those problems.
Another solution that we have in the bathrooms, we use what we call a super pull, and it's a pull that you can think of straight up and down, and it's a tension pull. So you just find a stud, and you put it in where the stud is in the ceiling, and it just pressure mounts there, and then it has a bar that sticks out and moves in a 90-degree angle. So you can have it there at the toilet for you. Then you can get up and you can lift it and move it and turn it so that it gets you to the bathtub, so that you can stand over the bathtub, or you could turn it the other way and go to the sink. And that way, it's basically the equivalent of grab bars, but it can be actually moved if you need it to move, and it can function a little bit more because it pivots so that you can use it in different spaces.
Very good. Looking at it on the website, that looks great.
Huh?
I'm looking at it on the website now. That's a great solution.
What kind of things do you guys see that people are most reluctant to do that they really should? That you really run into people that are doing a lot of pushback on things that that they need to be figuring out not to push back on?
For me, I see it on emotional things. Like an example, I'm working with a client down in Speedway, lovely, lovely family. Her husband died 4 years ago. He was a hot air balloonist. He had a little flight bag that's been on her bedroom floor by the door for 4 years because that's where he would drop it every night. And she's not steady on her feet. Her son hired me, and we talking about trip hazards. I said, well, let's pick this up and we can put it somewhere. No, that's where he always had it. No, that's where he always had it. And it became a big issue. And that's the way everyone lives, just put your bag on the floor, right? But now it's dangerous for her. So emotionally tied to something in a certain place, even though it doesn't make good sense for her health. And we came up with a really good solution, but I'll let the others talk about that in a minute.
But I gotta know what the solution was.
Well, so I'm all about the love. So I said, well, let's just see what's in it. So we unzipped the bag, and there's really cool things in there, like a baseball card with a picture of his balloon, and then in the back was a balloonist prayer, a couple of his little tools that were well worn and well loved, his flight log with all his handwriting on it. And I said, this stuff is too beautiful to sit in a bag. Let's make a shadow box, and we'll put it right above where the bag is on the wall, so when you lay in bed you can see it, rather than have the bag on the floor where you could trip over it and you're not even seeing his beautiful handwriting or the picture of that beautiful balloon that he had custom made. And she loved that idea. So we're getting all the contents from the bag that are beautiful in a shadow box, and the rest of it was like literally receipts for a bolt from 1994. And she's like, well, I don't need that crap, I'll throw that away. And now she's really excited for the new visualization of something that she was totally emotionally attached to, being on that floor, because that's where he dropped it every night for 40 years.
Cool. That's a great idea. Good job.
And for us, the pushback is the denial. I mean, and so virtually probably 90% of the work we do is work as it relates to people who are wanting to senior home modification so that they can live more comfortably in their home. It is brought about through a patient advocate, if you will. There's somebody that cares enough about that person that had already had a discussion with that person and either called us to go do some of the work or got the person to call us themselves. But again, there's so much of it. It's just, and maybe it's the same kind of idea about the bag that's at the side of the bed. You know, why is that there? Because it's always been there. There's emotional meaning to it. The home is the same way. They think they're 40, they think they're 60, and they're 20 years older. And that comes back to my original point about, boy, I just wish people, like Jim, do you have a plan for how you're going to stay in your house, you know, over the next 20 years? Probably not. So your kids are going to be talking to you about, come on, Dad, you know, it's better to start planning those things now and kind of budgeting for them over the next 20 years than to try to do them all at once, or worse yet, have to move out of the home that you love because you can't stay there anymore, or even worse, be forced to move out.
I guess mine is the denial. A lot of times kids will call me. You know, we probably all realize this. We deal with the kids more than we do the parents. I mean, the parents might sign the check, but you're actually selling the kids more than the parents. At least I am for the most part, because the kids are concerned about the parents. But then it gets to the point where we get down to the point where we're talking numbers and money, and they always want to shorten up the ramp. You know,
make it.
They want to. Yeah, they want to make it. They want to save $1,000. So you save $1,000, you make a shorter ramp. Oh, we can do this. We can do this, and it's amazing. It's amazing how people think they can push people up a steep ramp. And it's amazing. It's just not possible a lot of times. I mean, they'll literally want it to be a certain height. And I tell them, you can't do it. You cannot physically push them up that ramp. Oh, we can do it. Let's just make it this short. We won't do it. You know, you're gonna have to find somebody else to do it. Just to try and save some money. And I can understand that. When you're elderly, you think you're going to just run out of money. So you obviously don't want to spend it. But that's my hardest, is to convince people you can't do a steep ramp. That's, you know, we walk up something that's steep, so we think we can push somebody up that. And it's amazing how you can't. I mean, I think we'd all be surprised if we tried to. If I put a ramp down and had it a certain length, I bet everybody said they could push them up, and I bet I could get to a point where everybody says they could, and nobody could. It's an amazing thing.
So trading one dangerous thing for another dangerous thing.
Yeah.
So
there's times I've actually had to just say, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do it.
So Jack, is the length of ramp based on what angle right? Is there a certain sweet spot of the angle?
Yeah, well, the American Disabilities Act is what we tell people, because they're really, they know what they're doing, and they have what they call a 1 to 12. So for every inch that you go up, you need a foot.
Okay.
Or you go down, you need a foot. So for instance, if you have 2 steps, a lot of people think, okay, I can do a 4-foot or 5-foot ramp to go up those 2 steps. Well, those 2 steps are 16 inches. That's, ADA says, a 16-foot ramp. And I get people that want to have a 4 or 5-foot ramp going up, and just can't do it. So yeah, so it's a 1 to 1, and we don't have to do that. We quite often don't do it quite that less of a slope, but that's a guideline we tell people, about 1 inch per foot to figure.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I was going to say, along this topic, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I just read this book the other day. Someone turned me onto it as one to read, and it's really it's about The Conversation. It's by a guy named Haley Gordon, and it's really designed. It's designed to have a conversation with someone about long-term care insurance.
Right.
So that's really what it's targeted to do. But I would say that it's probably got a lot of good points that could go into this conversation as well. Okay. And especially with the guys, I don't know if you have more problems with guys listening than women or not. But it talks about the fact that guys never think it's going to happen to them. It's not going to be, that it's just a hard wire into our systems.
Men are notoriously hard-headed.
Huh?
Men are notoriously hard-headed.
Well,
God
this guy did a really nice job of
you.
saying that nicely. Okay. Yeah. And so it was like, that, but he goes that the argument is not so much about, we know you're not going to ever need this. Okay. But this is what happens to your loved ones if you do. Okay. If something happens or whatever. And it's just an interesting, I recommend the book. I really do. I read it in an afternoon, but it's a great little book. And it kind of, I will tell you this, it made me think about some things that I need to have conversations with myself about.
Right.
Okay.
And really what you're talking about is the cost of healthcare too, right? To the extent that we can have those discussions, like when we go into someone's house, we very seldom will have the husband and wife together even when we're giving the estimate. But we certainly would love to have the husband and wife together with the patient advocate or the other caregiver, the son, daughter, would be the ideal situation. But even better yet would be for them to have maybe read that book or have some understanding of what really the cost of medical care is, as you try to compare and contrast what it costs maybe to put that ramp in, or to put those thresholds in and to do some of the things that they do require upfront money. But it's also a little bit about just the mindset from lifestyle transformation. Every phase of life you are transforming, and you want to live it to the best of your ability. So
yeah, another difficult conversation along that whole thing that I've seen my clients have with their adult children, which I kind of get pulled into it, even though I stay out of it on this one, is driving, right? The conversation about you shouldn't be driving, right? There's senior driving services that can help. I'll come over every Sunday and run your groceries, whatever that adult child saying to the parent, trying to make the blow softer from giving up driving. That's another difficult conversation that families I work with are having, because it's, again, it's a little loss of freedom or adulthood even, right? They've been driving since they're 16. They're not going to stop now. Well, maybe you should. And that's a hard conversation I see my clients having with their adult children.
Well, I remember having that with my father-in-law because the speed he could move his feet was so slow. I'm going, there's no way, that you could get to the brake if you needed to. It was, he had arthritis and all these other issues that were so badly,
or just the eyesight, like that glare, like you were talking about, Matt. It's just harder on older eyes to see all the things, all the lights and the brake lights and the stop lights and all those the dashboard lights. It's just harder.
I would say that I want to, that book I think is very good for any family that's dealing with this or spouse trying to deal with it. But I think that as senior professionals, it also helps us understand some of the psychology that so that we can tailor our conversation as well. So I think that could be, be beneficial. I was quite taken by it. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good little piece of advice. Okay. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to do something here. What is it that you would like to just, I'm going to be very polite and say that something you would love to beg people to listen to you about, I'm, probably short of having you grab me by the lapels to go, would you listen? Yeah. Yes. So I'll let you kind of cover that one.
I'd be happy to take a stab at that.
Okay.
Thank you for asking that question. And maybe me sitting at the edge of the seat is why you're asking it. But one of the things that we can do, or I can do, and I very much want to do, independent of whether my business is successful or not, but we do, and I'm going to hold this up because it's sitting here in front of me. We do these, see if I can put it in the camera. We do these home safety assessments. And there's 212 points to this. And I'm just going to read one section, right? And whether you do, I know Jack has something on your website, Jack, that's similar to this, but I think it's probably beneficial for somebody that's listening to this to know what I'm talking about when we say, have someone come in and do this home safety assessment and then create a plan and have a discussion about how we're going to successfully live and enjoy our home. And so this is just one section I just opened it to, and it's interior stairs. And so some of the questions that we would be looking at is, do the stairs have sturdy rails on both sides that are securely fastened? And I would say on both sides is the point to that. Most of them won't have it on both sides. Do rails continue onto the landings? Are the stair treads sturdy, not deteriorating or broken? Are edges of stair treads clearly visible? Are stair pads in good repair? If bare wood, are stair treads slip resistant? If carpeted, is carpet securely attached and not worn or frayed? Are top and bottom steps highlighted? Are stairs free of clutter? If stairs are low, overhanging beam that people could bump their heads on, has it been padded? Are stairs and landings well lit with light switches at both the top and the bottom? And it's pretty much, it's yes or no answers to those questions, looking at the second floor, looking at the basement, looking at any other stairs. And where there's no, then let's talk about what the plan of action might be. And it doesn't have to be me. It can be the brother-in-law or the son-in-law that can do the repairs, but come up with a plan so that you can not have a disaster at 1 a.m. when you get up in the middle of the night and underestimate where the edge of the stair is, for example. So that would be the thing I would just scream at the top of my lungs. Take advantage of these free assessments. We're a national franchise. There's 42 locations around the country. So if someone else is watching this video and you live in, Roanoke, Virginia, there's probably somebody that can help. But if not, there's occupational therapy businesses that you can call to do these assessments as well. And you can probably get online and just look up senior home safety specialist. This is Age Safe America, which is where this comes from. And also your local area on aging. Spend some time, go to that website. They've got a lot of good information.
That's awesome, Matt. So for me, a little mushier, of course. I deal with people and I deal with people's stuff all the time. If I could just grab someone by the lapel and tell them something really important, is that your stuff doesn't matter, your people do. You can go to Walmart and Target and get more stuff tomorrow, today if you want, but your people are your people. And I deal in lots of situations where the people are at odds over the stuff, and the stuff doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's your people that are most important, because those are truly priceless and irreplaceable. And the coffee mug that you got at Branson, Missouri 20 years ago doesn't matter. It doesn't. You still have that memory in your heart, and you'll always carry that memory. That coffee mug isn't important. I see that every day, and every day I'm working with clients, it becomes more and more apparent that stuff doesn't matter, but the people are priceless.
I need to hire you to come to my house, and we probably have some things. You talk
We'll
me
do
into
it.
way.
I guess for me, mine's a little bit different situation, but I think I touched on it earlier. Um, you, and Matt mentioned it too. Plan ahead. You know, we all talked about it, and it talked about we're not getting younger. You know, so if everybody lives long enough, you'll be in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, it doesn't hurt to plan ahead, and even call me out. Say, look, I'm healthy as a horse right now. I'm fine. My wife's fine, but we're 75 years old. You know, we're going to be deteriorating. And I'll be more than happy to go out and design something for them and have it ready for them if they ever just say, you know what, it's time for us to get it. Okay, I've got it on file. Here it is. It's what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And to do it when nobody's rushed, everybody's relaxed. We just sit down, we talk about how this should work. You know, where would be the best place to put it. When someone is in the hospital and you're dealing with them in the hospital or the nursing home or their spouse, we all know they're afraid. I mean, they're not afraid. They're afraid. They're just, you know, they can't think straight. They just get the ramp in. I need him home. Well, it might not be designed the way that you want then, you know. So my thought is nobody gets younger. We're all going to need a ramp eventually. Let me come out. Let me see what we can do for you. And when you think it's coming close to that time, then call me and we'll put one up for you. And we can all do it, sit down and just talk about it and think it through rationally instead of, you know, I got to have this in by tomorrow. I got to have it. So that would be my thought. Just, and even myself, I'm just in my mid 50s, but I've started thinking, you know what? I've got 2 steps in my house to get into. What am I going to do if I break my leg?
Guy.
Yeah. You know, how is my ramp going to look, you know, if I break my leg tomorrow? So I'm thinking about it now. So I think anybody that has a home ought to be thinking about that.
Well, this might be kind of a weird question, but how do you determine if the scope of the work needed to make it safe is greater than the reward? So in other words, you know, is there a tipping point where you go, guys, this is, you know, aging at home now is not your best choice? How do you determine that from as your professionals?
Well, I'll go real quick because I'll be just real quick because mine's obviously not as important, you know, inside. I mean, just a matter of can you get in. But the worst part for me, the one that breaks my heart, I mean, it literally breaks my heart, is people have houses that cannot be accessed.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way to do it. And it breaks my heart. I had somebody in a nursing home. They called me. I said, my mom's coming home. And she had 8 steps from her door. It's straight steps down to the sidewalk. I mean, it's an old house, you know, old part of the town. And there just is no way to do it. And that's, you know, that's where it's hard for me. That's when you have to tell them you've got to move. I mean, if you want her to stay here, you have to move. And that to me is, you know, I try to say it in the nicest way possible, but when I leave, they realize she can't live here. We've got to do something.
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying. I'll be brief too. I always try to set the proper expectation up front, and if I can't help them, I say it. And I love to make referrals to other people who can help. If it goes above and beyond what I can do, I am the first one to say, I'm not your person, but I know people who can help you, because I want to set the right expectation up front. not only is it the right thing to do from a business standpoint, the right thing to do as a human, right? Because it's high emotions we're dealing with. They're high stakes emotions. So I'm just real candid of, I'm not your person. And I don't get those calls very often. Maybe they go to you guys, I don't know. But I don't get the calls very often where I have to say that, but it has come up.
And I would just say that there does become a point of diminishing returns when you're looking at your house, and especially when like wheelchair and accessibility. For example, the house I'm living in, I just downsized, and I thought I was very clever because it has a master bedroom on the first floor. And as I look and I think about this house, what would it take for me to have a wheelchair in the house? All the doorways and to be widened so that they would be acceptable. That would be cost prohibitive. It just, because the way the house is designed, it would be simple maybe to get into the house and widen that and put the ramp in, but then all the interior doors that are in it, how do you get into the bathroom? How do you get into the laundry room? All these things. Mm-hmm. It just adds up. So home modifications aren't the perfect solution all the time.
What, just real quick as we're coming to a close here, what is a favorite story of someone that you've helped that you'd like to tell?
I have so many.
I've got one real quick. I had a lady call me, and she just was not well off financially, and her husband was dying. I mean, there just was no other way to put it. He's dying. She wants him home. And I gave her some prices, and she was crying, and she said, "Thank you, but I just can't do it." And we rent or purchase. And so I was going to rent to her, and she still just couldn't afford it. And so we worked with it, and there was a way I got it, that we got it to her house, and we got it there that same day. And she brought him home, and within a month or two, she called me and said that he had passed, but she got him to be able to be at home. And she was very, very thankful. And it just makes you feel good when you can help somebody out.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, we had a customer that really didn't have a lot of access to technology, didn't really use the internet, learned about us from an ad I had ran in the local paper, and called us, and we went and sat down, and she sat down on the couch and closed her eyes and really just described what she was looking for. And it happened to be pretty much what is our total solution, the total house care solution. She just wanted one person to call that could do the cleaning of the house, could do all the home maintenance needs, from changing light bulbs to repairing downspouts, take care of the shrubs that had overgrown the front yard, somebody that could come out and take the garbage, the trash containers out once a week. And it was just a wistful look on her eye that she just sat back in the couch and just described what was our program. And at that point I was, obviously overjoyed, because that's really what we do. I mean, it's total house care.
That's awesome, Matt. So I'll tell you a favorite story of mine. So I had a little old lady who collected shot glasses, and she had 300 shot glasses from all over the world. So I'm like, "Oh, so what kind of liquor do you drink?" "Oh, no, I don't drink. My kids and my husband have brought me these over the years." And she was going from her home into a bonus room at her son's house, and we were closing up the wall to make it from a bonus room that was open to a closed bedroom. But her biggest concern, because I always ask what the biggest concern is, the biggest concern was, what about my shot glasses? I have so many, they're displayed all over my home now, and I don't want them downstairs where all the kids will break them. I want them in my room, but there's not room to display them all. So I was like, challenge accepted. And it took me about 5 different tries of different shelving to make it work. But we had got the plexiglass, the clear shelving from the Container Store, and built a little display unit with lights, and put all of her shot glasses on there. She's like, I can see them from my bed. I can see them from my chair. The little kids can't break them. And she was just so ecstatic. She's like, the collections never looked so good. They were always in dusty cupboards before. Now they're out on clear shelves, all lit up. I can see all my glasses at one time. And so it was actually an improvement for her. It was, it made her prize collection look even better than it was. So that was, and it took me a few tries to get it just right. She was in Florida at the time, so she didn't see all the fails. I was working on her room while she was in Florida. She came home to the win.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys. Well, I'm going to do something real quick here. Let me do a quick screen share here. I just wanted to kind of show you that obviously this was our thing today of Life's Copilot. So we are coming up on September 10th. And this is what I'm really looking forward to. The most misunderstood word in senior care and why most people miss out on the benefits available to them and a better quality of life because they're afraid of the word hospice. I have to admit, I'm one of them. I had no idea what hospice was. I thought it was a morphine drip the last few days. It is not. It is so much more. And I know like my dad would have benefited tremendously had we known what it could have done. So that's coming up. We are in fact having the one on the 16th. I just got that confirmed today because she was waiting for the very last second to find out if we could have it in her facility. But we're going to end up Zooming it. So anyway, then here's one on geriatric care managers. What you hire a general contractor to build a house, that's someone to do that. The difference between home care and home health care and senior living today, it's not what it used to be. So these are some of the upcoming things. You can always go to Life's Copilot, and under events, there's opportunities there. So that's why I wanted to get a chance to share with you and so what's going on. Thank you for coming. It was pretty much right on time. So thank you for my panel. You guys were awesome as usual. So thank you very much. Matt, you were the rookie on this one. It was great.
Yeah,
great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Fine.
All right. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you all as well.